this is the conspiracy theorist in me is there a percentage that's just people aren't thinking thoroughly about it, or is it like deliberate sabotage? Because in
Well,
New
I think
York, it's a possibility that it's the
it's
latter.
a mix of both. I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, New York had its fair share of trouble there with Robert Moses, who certainly, when you read through the history of it, did seem to have malicious intentions in a lot of cases,
Oh yeah.
and and I think that's part of it. But I think you also have to understand, looking back then, I mean, he was able to get away with that crap because people looked at this and said, "Yeah, I want to drive. This is great." You know, you see the images and posters that they had around in the 50s and 60s of these futuristic Jetsons looking cities with these overpasses and all these cars whisking around it. This was the dream, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out to be more of a nightmare. But I think, again, so many people have grown up in this now that they think that this is normal, and that's what I'm really trying to get across with the channel. This isn't normal. And when you've lived somewhere else, and when you've lived somewhere walkable, in what would be called today a traditional neighborhood, uh, the quality of life is better. We really did lose something by paving over our cities.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Is why what it takes people the ability to travel, which is not an ability a lot of people have in general, to find
No, it's
just
true.
kind of see it. I mean, I grew up on an island off the coast of Maine. To go grocery shopping, I had to take a 45-minute ferry ride plus drive about 20 minutes to the grocery store.
Hmm.
And then I got to do it again to take all the groceries back.
Right.
It was a very expensive, time consuming thing. And when I went off to film school right after high school, I went to Vancouver. I lived in downtown Vancouver for a year. Everything was there: the grocery store, books, what have you. Even the school I went to was within walking distance, and it changed my life. I never thought I'd live in a city, and then once I got back to the States, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm moving to New York.
Yeah.
Because New York, of course, is really the only city left in the United States where it is possible to live your whole life without a car.
Yeah.
Um,
There are a few places here and there, but they're almost all old places.
yeah,
They're almost all on the East Coast. Not all of them, but most of them, simply because they're the places that were built before all of this happened. Um, but my issue with that in North America is that those places are desirable, and people are starting to wake up to the fact that those places are desirable, and they are now horrendously expensive. And the
yeah,
vast majority of people cannot afford them because of their scarcity. Um, and I think that's really, really sad because more people should be able to live like this. And what I see happen in the Netherlands is that nowadays, when they build places, they still build them that way. They still build places with mixed use development so that you can live close to the shops, you can live close to your work. I mean, that makes the biggest difference of anything that we'll talk about is the ability to have those mix of uses. That was the case until Euclidean zoning came along um, in the mid 20th century. Uh, but they still build those places that way, and in a lot of Europe, for what it's worth, they haven't lost that. And there are places that you go to them here, the suburbs here in the Netherlands, and Dutch people will say, "Oh, they're so ugly. They don't have any of the 17th century buildings or anything like that." And yeah, the architecture might not be as pretty and that kind of thing, but these are really nice places. And like you said, you never thought you'd live in a city. Well, I never thought I'd live in a suburb. I don't today. I still live in a city, but I've been to some suburbs here that make me think, oh, actually, this is pretty nice. Like, this is pretty good because for me, growing up in London, Ontario, Canada, a suburb was synonymous with a car dependent suburb. Like there was no difference there. So that's what I always associated with suburbia, with the big wide roads, the big front lawns, the curvy cul-de-sacs, the hour long walk to get to the nearest grocery store. I mean, that's all of the things I associated with the suburbs. But that's not the case. That's car dependent suburbs, which is you know, almost people in the US and Canada know, but that is not, you know, you can build better suburbs. And I see them regularly here.